Welcome to Holistic Accountant Podcast, where we aim to showcase how adopting a holistic approach in accounting and tax maximizes value for clients. Beyond traditional tasks like preparing financial statements and tax returns, a holistic accountant focuses on offering advice that maximizes personal wealth on an after-tax basis. If you enjoy this episode, please consider leaving a rating and sharing it with those who might also benefit. And to ensure you stay updated, subscribe to our weekly email. The link is in the show notes. Okay, this week, Mena and I'd like to talk about, the simple things that you must do to manage your business really well. Of course, there's two things that we can do when we're self-employed. We can work in the business or on the business. Quite often we get sucked into working in the business, which is obviously delivering the product and service that our business delivers. But working on the business is probably way more important than working in it, because just a couple of hours invested in improving your business and your business's profitability will pay reoccurring dividends. Each year you're improving the income and profitability of the business. Of course, then you move forward. So Mena and I sat down and thought about, what are some of the small things that we can do on a regular basis that can have a really big impact to how well your business is running. And at the end of the day, it's all about profitability. Building revenue is obviously good and often necessary to achieve better profitability, but it doesn't always translate to higher profit. So really the focus is profitability. The first one I wanted to talk about was really knowing your numbers. And perhaps I can give you a good example, good personal example. When I started the business, when I started Pro Solution, I was very focused on delegating work that wasn't particularly important, or the work that I could delegate. And one of them was the bookkeeping and the management of the finances. And when we just started doing mortgage broking. We weren't doing accounting or anything like that. And whilst that was true, I could delegate it. Actually, it was then just a little bit too easy to sort of ignore it, if you like. So you don't need to do your own bookkeeping, of course, and you don't need to be over the top of these things. Most people don't have the skill and experience to do so. But the point is that you can't delegate looking after the numbers or looking at the numbers, right? It's your money, it's your business, so it is actually your responsibility. Now, it's your accountant's responsibility to do their job well, of course, and there's no doubt about that. But ultimately, you need to make sure you're over the top of your numbers. So I think spending half an hour each week just looking at, what are the debtors, what are the creditors, like who you owe money to and who owes money to you, what is the cash flow, the profitability, how are things looking, those sorts of things, just making sure you've got a really good sense of what's going on in your business from a numbers perspective. Because I know if you don't look at the numbers, it's really easy to misread how things are going. So that is, sometimes you think things are going well and they're actually not, or sometimes you think they're not going so well and they actually are. And so it's hard to get sometimes a sense of how well things are going until you actually look at those numbers, because there's so many moving parts, it's hard to conceptualize it in your head.
And I think having a system, and as you mentioned, you shouldn't be spending too much time on the numbers, but you should be spending enough time to understand how your business is tracking. Now, you don't need to understand all the intricacies of all the numbers and how they all come together, because, again, that's probably your accountant's job. But an overall sort of look as to how your business is performing, how you can sort of review expenses, manage them in a way. Your accountant can actually, through their online reporting system, set sort of budgets for you or forecasts for you to work towards in terms of both revenue and expenses. So it's important to basically run these reports either monthly or quarterly, or however, if your business is a high transactional business, you might want to do it every month. And you can run these budget variance analysis and show to see how you're tracking. Your holistic accountant set certain targets for you based on what goals you wanted to achieve in terms of revenue and expenses. And you can run those reports periodically to see how you're tracking. And again, you don't need an accounting degree to understand these, but it gives you an idea of what you should be working towards.
And another thing, Mena, is that in the past, accountants are really focused on preparing profit and loss statements and balance sheets. And of course, these things are necessary in order for us to prepare a correct and complete tax return, which is an obligation, of course. The point is that these days that the systems that are used to generate those reports tend to be very live. They get data feeds, whether you're on Xero or MyOb or whatever it might be, but they're in real time. So we've got so much more data today, and it's so more sort of up to date. I mean, it is real time, that we should be using that data for purposes other than preparing financial reports and end-of-year tax returns. In fact, this data can provide you with a lot of insight. So one of the things that we would recommend for people is to have their accountant, their holistic accountant, build them a dashboard that they can log in and see, that are going to show the key metrics of what's going on in their business. And sort of that's what I'm saying, know your numbers. You don't need to go and trawl through Xero and a profit and loss report and those sorts of things, but perhaps you can pull out stock turnover numbers and just sort of key metrics to help you understand the business. And that's a lot easier to do today with Xero and MyOb, with the apps that they use and so forth, and that's something that your holistic accountant can set up for you as a bit of a special project to make sure that you've got the tools to run your business effectively.
So working on the business is key, but also benchmarking or getting ideas from other people in the industry might sort of help you as well in the long term. So for example, like we spoke in the last podcast, the restaurant example of, the staff coming in 15 or 20 minutes earlier to work on specials, that's an hour of wages per staff member saved across the board. So if you think about it, call it a staff member earns on average $25 per hour, probably a little bit more, across 5 or 6 staff members across 7 days, that's a fair bit of money saved. So it's important to also keep in touch with peers who are in the same industry as you to get ideas and to share ideas to help each other grow.
I find, Mena, this is a commonly overlooked opportunity. It's often people often think that, other businesses aren't going to share ideas with me, and that might be true if they're operating next door, for example. But you're always going to find some people in business that are happy to share because they know that the industry is so large that you can probably both thrive in the industry, and you're not going to steal business from each other. So building a peer group of people like that, like-minded people, where you can share ideas and you can learn what's worked for them, and even more importantly, what hasn't worked for them, so you don't waste your time trying. I often think that in business, it's a who question, not a what question. So quite often, if we've got a problem in business, whether it's how do I reduce my costs, how do I get more business or something, I tend to think, what do I need to do? But actually, that's not really the right approach, I don't think. It's a better, who should I ask about what to do? Because quite often, we're not pioneers. That quite often people have dealt with the same issues that we're dealing with today. And so if we can go and talk to those people and ask them, what did you do? Share your experiences. Quite often that helps us as well. So again, it's about really working on the business, rather than in it, and to be really disciplined about that, and just start with a little bit. Start with a half an hour a week, and then you can grow it to an hour or 2 hours. You'll see the dividends if you do it consistently. Now, if you only do it 1 week and then don't do it for another month and do it again, it's not going to work. You need the consistency of being able to work on your business regularly, and the more you do that, the more time you'll have, because you'll leverage your own time, and the more then you can work on your business, and that's probably the biggest mistake. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of some ideas on what you could do, these small little things that can really add up to generate some really positive outcomes. Okay, that's it for this week. Bye for now.